Hi everyone, this is your friend Meir. I'm looking forward so much for the class that I'm going to teach this Thursday. It's going to be very exciting. I'm going to see people with different problems, some corneal problems, some problems with the central vision, some problems with pressure in the eye, some problems with cataracts, and some who don't want to have all those problems, who simply want to get rid of their glasses or use them less. Today, I was running on the beach. It was cold yesterday. It was raining as well. And it was raining on Friday as well. In fact, the clients that I had on Friday, as much as I wanted to go with them outside to the rain, well, I couldn't go with them outside to the rain because it was way too rainy. So I had to work with them indoors. And we have a wonderful classroom where I could work with them indoors, but boy, would I prefer to go out to the sun. Well, it was actually cold until I ran today. It was so sunny, but it was windy. On the way to the Cliff House, which is about 1.75 miles from my home, the sun warmed me up. But on the way back, the wind was cooling my body. And I was running just with a bathing suit, and everybody looked at me either with amazement or with mercy, one or the other. I'll never forget how once I ran in the rain and somebody thought that I'm homeless who needs help, but I didn't. I was just enjoying running in the rain, just with my bathing suit. Well, as I was returning to my home on the beach, again, 1.75 miles, I saw that when I ran forwards, the wind would blow right at me. Well, it was great. But then when I ran backwards, it didn't feel as cold. So I ran backwards for a stretch of 1 mile at least from that 1.75. And the feeling of exhilaration and release was amazing. My neck was loose. My body was loose. And this is something so important. You will hear a show that I had today, which is a fundraiser for a wonderful station called WPFW, with Johnny Eisenberg, who fills in for Dr. Watkins. And Dr. Watkins is ill, and I would like to have all of you praying with me for his quick recovery. And so when I was recording the show with her, we talked about the fact that people dismiss nature these days. The stupid research that they made in the 60s that got doctors to conclude that there is nothing you can do to improve your vision or to make it worse, made everybody's visions worse. All they did, they had a pilot research with two identical twins, one in one part of the world and one in another, one that had good lighting condition, one who didn't, and both of them became nearsighted. But then they couldn't prove the fact that there's any genetic proof, and there's no gene. Even when we made the genome map, there's no gene that points to nearsightedness or myopia. So what they did is, they made all classrooms darker, and they turned fluorescent lights on. Until now, I'm looking at youth that prefer to sit in a dark room with fluorescent lights. What a terrible thing. What an abomination of our need for nature. And what happened is, ever since then, more people wore glasses. And then, of course, more people wore glasses when computers were invented. And now, more people wear glasses because of the smartphone. You'll hear much more of that in the radio show. But what I want to say is that nature is so wonderful. is so powerful, is the best thing for us. And yes, people who lived in the past and did not have all of our modern niceties and comfort had their problems. But we have the problem of being distant from nature. That's why I say adjust to the sun. Don't escape it. Have strong eyes that can easily meet it. Adjust to the dark of the night. Adjust to the distances that our ancestors adjusted to for so many years. Enjoy your periphery. Sleep in the dark. Don't turn light on in the corridor. And those are the things that I will teach people in my classes. I'll never forget how one wonderful lady said, just like Mark Twain said, the coldest winter I ever spent was one summer in San Francisco, which is pretty funny. And some people said that he didn't even say that. She told me the brightest morning I ever had was a night walk in the Golden Gate Park with you. So in the first day, we will learn the principles of natural vision improvement, and we will exercise the eyes, and we will learn how to measure our own vision, and we'll measure each other's vision. It's going to be exciting. Second day, we'll learn how to overcome nearsightedness, farsightedness, astigmatism, which can really help us prevent many problems in the future. Because if you don't get rid of those things, they get worse. And with time, it becomes a pathology like glaucoma, cataract, macular degeneration. Then, the third day, we'll learn about eye teaming and prevent cross-sightedness and help that. But people really need to learn how to work with the eyes more together. And the fourth day, we'll learn how to overcome pathologies. We will learn physical exercises to reduce the effect of glaucoma. And in the fifth day, beside the night walk, we'll have wonderful review of eye teaming, and the rest of the exercises we'll learn in the 6 days. After the night walk, we will complete all that we didn't learn yet, and there's a lot. But then we'll measure our eyes again. And nobody knows what the result is going to be. Just in the last few classes, 90% of the people saw better, and some way better. What I teach people is to not measure themselves the way they're being measured in an ophthalmologist office. In an ophthalmologist office, they tell you to sit from 20 feet or 6 meters or from 10 feet or 3 meters with a mirror that duplicates your sitting. But we tell you to look at a chart from a distance you're comfortable. Let's say it's 20 feet. Perfectly. Look at the chart from that distance. For some, it's just 5 feet, 1.5 meters. And if from that 1.5 meters you see 2 lines, but at the end of the class you see 4 lines, you know that you improved your vision. Because it's paralyzing to compare what your eyes see versus what they see with glasses. What they see naturally is what counts. And that's what I teach everyone. But we measure thoroughly, from near, from far, indoors, outdoors, 2 eyes and 1 eye alone, and all that in a pretty short period of time. Within an hour, you'll know how to measure your own vision, and you'll know how to measure its improvement, and you'll surprise your doctor. See you this Thursday.
We are very excited and happy, Dr. Watkins and myself, to bring to you someone who's been on the airwaves before, but is never too many times, talking about natural vision improvement. And that is Meir Schneider, who is calling us from the Bay Area, and we're delighted to have him on for the hour. He's going to be giving away some new and very special thank you gifts. And for those of you who have not heard Meir before, you're in for a special treat, as well as those who've heard him many times before. He's been with us now for many years, as we often tell his amazing life story in a few seconds. He was born blind, had several health challenges, and over the years, he not only taught himself to see, but it now actually holds a driver's license and teaches natural vision improvement training programs around the world, including right here in Washington, D.C. So we're delighted to have him on during this pledge drive. We have a goal of $1,000 for this hour, and we're going to be sharing with you in a moment the thank you gifts we have in store. But let me bring on and welcome Meir Schneider.
Hi, it's so nice to be on your show again. And I was so happy to be last week when we talked about low vision awareness.
And as we had said earlier in the month, February is actually Low Vision Awareness Month. So in addition to it being Black History Month, it's also a special time to educate our listeners about low vision, what it means, and just challenges with vision in general and natural ways to improve. So, Meir, maybe you want to just share with our listeners what is low vision.
Yeah, low vision is conditions which are basically partial blindness. When people can no longer read the first letter from 20 feet or 6 meters, even with full correction, that starts to be low vision. The spectrum is huge. Some people with low vision see only light. Some people with low vision lost part of the vision, but they're no longer functional. They cannot read normal print. They cannot drive. They cannot see well, and there are like 100 million people that way worldwide. And in my opinion, if we would take care of our day-to-day vision, and this is what we'll talk about today with you, we will have many, many fewer people with low vision. If you allow your eyes to become weak day in and day out, then sooner or later they can fail. And just fixing a problem once it fails becomes more difficult, more cumbersome, very expensive for the people themselves and very expensive for governments. And yet, if we would just take few steps on a daily basis to maintain our vision, you would find that the percentage of people with low vision will decrease, and those who have low vision sometimes will improve greatly within the spectrum of low vision. Let's say they could improve averagely from 1% to 10% of vision, and they could also, some of them could also get out of the low vision category like myself, and that's where I was. I was basically having 1% vision, and now I have 70% vision.
Wow.
And nobody can say that I have low vision. I just have, weaker vision than the average person. But it doesn't mean that I have low vision. I am driving, I'm writing, I'm reading, not from a normal distance, and yet I see enough to do it. In the past, I was reading and writing in Braille. And so I think that when I'm talking to the wide audience of WPFW, which I hope that with the wonderful shows that you have will become wider and wider, then I think that we should make a quiet revolution, not by demonstrating, not by talking, not by shouting, but simply by improving our own vision. So then ophthalmology is really here to blame for the fact that so many low vision cases are happening. Because to begin with, if you have a simple nearsightedness, like a simple myopia, and you just don't see the board very well, and you just don't see as well as you used to see, they immediately prescribe to you glasses. Now, I'm not an opponent of glasses. Sometimes they're necessary. But to immediately prescribe somebody glasses without giving them a chance to strengthen their eyes and to believe that eyes can never get stronger, I think is the problem. And that's why I'm so grateful that I can speak to thousands of people right now with your help and tell people they can improve their vision.
Absolutely. And I want to expand the discussion a little bit. Low vision is a specific issue, but as you have talked about and have written about extensively, we now have an epidemic of vision problems in this country caused by many things, including the computer. So I want to let our listeners know that...
I just want to give you one correction. In the world, not in this country, in the whole world.
Okay, that's great. And so I just want our listeners to know that what Meir is going to be talking about for the remainder of the hour pertains to mostly all of you. Even if you may not have low vision, we need to learn some of the or all of the techniques that Meir talks about to achieve natural vision improvement. And I don't know, I know you've written and talked before about the numbers of people in this country or around the world who now have vision problems as that would not have been the case many years ago.
Absolutely. I think that the problem started with medicine when they decided in the 60s that nothing that you can do can make the eyes better or worse. And, until the 60s, educators, parents, people had the intuition to understand that if you have more light in the room, it's easier to read text. And classrooms had big windows. And as of the 60s, when some stupid research was really just a pilot research, was published by the British Ophthalmology Journal, there was a decision that nothing that you can do can make vision better or worse. So they basically made all the windows small, turned fluorescent lights on, and this is not in one country or one continent, everywhere in the world. And then what happened is more and more kids needed glasses. That it used to be in the 60s, if you had glasses, they called you glasses, they called you four eyes. Other kids would harass you because you were an exception. But then as of the 70s, more and more people had glasses, and as soon as computers started to be in, more had glasses. And right now, with the iPhone, nobody picks on anyone who has glasses. It's like having a hat. I mean, in the United States, about 48% of the children have glasses. It's not as bad as in Singapore, where basically 90% of the kids have glasses. But if you look, for example, in Brazil, if you go to the Amazon, you'll find 1% of the people being nearsighted. You go to São Paulo, 45% of the people have nearsightedness. So it's a modern phenomenon. The iPhone, the smartphone, the computers, all those lead to lower vision. And I want to tell you that all the problems that people right now experiencing in the 60s and 70s, unless there is a revolution, and I mean a big revolution of critical mass of people working on themselves and proving to the rest of the world that things can be otherwise, what is going to happen is that people in their 50s, within 10 years, will have the same problems, and people in their 30s and 20s, within 40 or 50 years, will have the exact problems that people in the 60s have these days. And that's because of the way that we're using it. And the best case scenario I want to tell you is this. One mother brought her child to an ophthalmologist in Israel, and she wanted her to wear glasses because she started to be nearsighted. Now, that was an intuitive ophthalmologist, and I must say a great exception to the rule, because everybody else would have given her glasses. He asked her, how often is she in front of the computer? She said, all day. She said, okay, then you have to make sure that she plays outside at least 2 or 3 hours per day. She did that. She came 2 months later, and no glasses were indicated. So what she did is what caused her to need glasses. And then it's a slippery slope. You start to wear glasses, then you wear stronger glasses, and then stronger glasses, and then stronger glasses. And what's worse than that is contact, because the immune system really wants to reject any foreign object. And when you wear contact lenses, you just get used to a foreign object, and you become more sensitive to all insults and injuries. And then the worst part is the LASIK surgery. You know that most doctors that do LASIK do not do it on themselves. They prefer to wear glasses or contacts. And the reason is LASIK surgery in many ways hurts the cornea, because they make basically glasses out of the cornea. I think the only best solution there is is to learn eye exercises, to wear glasses when you need them, put them in the pocket when you don't need them, and basically learn the strength that your eyes have. And that's why I have my book Vision for Life,
yes.
and that's why I have my DVD Vision
Yes.
for Life, to really demonstrate to people that they can, in no uncertain terms, improve their vision, depend less on their glasses, and with time know, and they can prevent cataracts, they can prevent glaucoma, they can prevent especially when you talk about myopia, if you don't fix nearsightedness, if the nurse sends the kid in 4th grade and they find that he or she see one line less and they start to give them glasses, and it could be because they have emotional tension, that they don't want to see the world around them so they don't see it well. It could be for many, many other reasons. But the point is, when you send a kid to wear glasses, then sooner or later they need stronger glasses and then stronger glasses. And when they reach their 20s or 30s, they could have high myopia, which is the eyeball becomes so long that the retina detaches. And then it's all the medical treatment around retinal detachment. You reattach the retina, and then quite often people get cataract from that. So they take away the cataract, then there is glaucoma, then they treat the glaucoma. And it's all symptomatic, like a Band-Aid approach to something that could be prevented in the first place. And that's why it's so important for you and your kids to work on your eyes and prevent the problems that are happening. And I'm so grateful to have the platform to say that.
Yes, and listeners, we're going to tell you now what Meir is offering to you as a thank you gift during this pledge drive. We have 2 special gifts and then a package. First of all, I'm going to list them, and then Meir can elaborate. A wonderful book called Vision for Life. It was published several years ago. 10 Steps to Natural Eyesight Improvement. And I'm going to ask Meir to go over what the 10 steps are, but that is a book, a very easy to read book, plus a CD that will accompany this book. And this is the first time that Meir is offering this CD to us. That can be yours for an amazing price of $75, both the book and the CD. We ask you to go to the phones, 202-588-9739 or 1-800-222-9739. You can also pledge on the website, www.wpfwfm.org. And you can scroll to Dr. Watkins, and you'll be able to pledge there. This is an amazing gift, folks, and I'm going to get to the second gift in a moment, but I just want people to realize there are many of you out there who feel you do not have an eye problem, an eyesight problem, and thankfully you may not at this point in time. But as Meir is describing, the way our society is set up, with more and more and more computers, more iPhones. It's hard to even pay a bill these days without going onto your iPhone or your computer. Not only that, Meir talks frequently about the problems of sitting in front of your computer all day long for many of us who work in these 9-to-5 jobs. That also has a horrific effect on our eyesight. Sitting under the fluorescent lamps without natural light is also very bad for your eyes. So I'm going to ask Meir to walk through the 10 steps. But what Meir is talking about covers many things. And Meir talks about eye exercises, which he does have. But Meir also talks about very simple, natural things that we all can do every day to preserve our eyes. And one example of that is just being... I think we're having some
Yeah,
feedback.
we had some difficult... I'm listening, and I want to talk about the principles of natural vision improvement.
Okay, great. So let's go through. So let me just mention that can be yours for a pledge of $75. And Meir is also offering today for a pledge of $100 the audio 5 CD set, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then the combined gift will be $150. But let's walk through, Meir, the 10 steps to natural eyesight improvement, or at least some of them.
What I want to talk is about the principles that have everything to do with what I was saying. Number one, we need deep relaxation of the eyes. And the exercise that we really suggest, which is so easy to make, is called palming, where people rub their hands and put their hands around the eye orbit and relax the eyes. It sounds too simple to do any good, but it's actually a very, very powerful tool. Your hands can nourish your eyes, especially if the eyes are very fatigued. So it's learning to relax the hands so you can put the hands over the eye orbit and relax the eyes. The second thing, we're talking about adjustment to different light amplitude and frequencies. And that's where I sound pretty controversial, because I want people to adjust to the strong light of the sun. And basically, most ophthalmologists tell us to wear sunglasses. And I have no problem with you wearing sunglasses when you drive into a sunset or to a sunrise, or if you are skiing, or if you sit and there's sun in the water, or in front of a building which is very white. But most of the time, your pupils should have the strength to constrict as much as possible. And at the same time, we also want to adjust to the dark of the night. In our classes, I'm going to teach a class this coming Thursday until Tuesday. On Monday night, all the classes are in the morning to the early afternoon. But on Monday night, we're going to take a nice night walk. So we're going to have a class from 3 to 10.
And this is in San Francisco.
Yeah, in San Francisco. We're going to have a night walk in the park. Somebody told me, Meir, the brightest morning I ever had was a night walk with you in the park, because within 20 minutes, the eyes get used to the dark and they see many, many more details. And then the third principle is distance viewing. The modern person is not looking enough at a distance, especially using computers, using smartphones. We're just not looking enough at a distance, and making a point of 20 minutes a day, every single day, to look at a distance is critical, because otherwise the muscles of the lens become very, very tight to a point of spasm, and you're not used to allow the lens to be flat. It's flat when you look at a distance, it's round when you look from near. And what happens is, in my opinion, there's an epidemic of cataracts. People think nothing of cataracts because most of the surgeries are successful. Be aware that they are, but then there's sometimes problems. So to prevent the need to remove your lens, looking at a distance is mandatory. And if your lens was removed, it is still mandatory, because it really helps the eyes quite a bit to relax from looking from near, including the extrinsic muscles and the vitreous fluid of the area between the lens and the retina. What happens when we look a lot from near, it starts to fill in much more, so the eyeball becomes longer. When you look at a distance, it feels much less, and the eyeball becomes shorter. So looking at distance is important. The next principle is looking at details, and this is so important. You know, in my book, I was talking about my daughter. My daughter was born with cataracts, and my son as well, like myself, and she has no lens, and she even has a small cornea. And her vision should have been basically 1 or 2% without contact lenses, and about 40% or maybe 30% with them. But what I taught her was to look at details. She could count with her weaker eye, which was her right eye, as many as 200 petals in 1 minute. She simply was able to get to that number very quickly on her own. And so what she did is she used the most important part of the retina, which is called the macula, M-A-C-U-L-A. And most people know it by the fact that so many people have macular degeneration, but that is preventable. And what she did is she looked from detail to detail to detail at those petals. And the result is, among many other exercises we did, is that now without correction, her vision is about 75% of normal, and with correction, it's 100%. That ability to use the macula in spite of not having your lens, in spite of having a small cornea, is amazing. So then the next principle is peripheral vision. Most people ignore their periphery. And we talk about smartphones. I mean, you look at people in the street with smartphones, they will not see if anything was a centimeter or an inch near them. They just look straight at the smartphone. Well, you know, for 2 million years, our ancestors could not live if they did not sense their extreme periphery, because they would not know if there's an animal there to hunt them. If they sense their extreme periphery, which means the side vision, they would look at that animal and they would know what to do. Otherwise, we wouldn't survive the jungle and we would be annihilated. And what happens now is that we don't use it. And I've heard something worse than that. When kids use the smartphone, they don't see their parents. They don't see if people change pictures on the wall. They don't actually see anything except what's on their phone, which is a very miserable way of existing between you and me, because basically you sacrifice nature and you sacrifice your environment for modernity, basically. And then the result is often glaucoma, which is pressure of the eye and losing much of your peripheral vision. It's not today or tomorrow, but give it few dozens of years and that's exactly what happens. And then the next principle is balanced use of the eyes. And we have a wonderful exercise in the book where basically you take sunglasses, you remove the lens of the eye that sees well, and you put duct tape over the lens of the eye that sees, you remove the lens of the eye that sees poorly, and you put duct tape over the lens of the eye that sees well. Again, I'll repeat it so it won't be a mistake again. You remove the lens of the eye that sees poorly, and you put duct tape over the lens of the eye that sees well, and then you play ball, then you walk and you look at the world with the eye that sees poorly. And this is just one out of many exercises we show in the book, where we have red and green glasses, where you see one image with the red, one image with the green, and we lead to balanced use of the eyes. And we have several more principles. I don't want to take all your time with that.
Yes, we can come back to them in a moment, but we want to also welcome Jerry Paris, our general manager. And I don't know, Robin, if we have a little music queued up. You have it ready? No. In a moment, we're gonna have a special treat for you. But I'm happy that Jerry Paris can join us today. Jerry, and I don't know if you heard, we have a wonderful package that Meir has put together for us today. For a pledge of $75, you can get the Vision for Life book, 10 Steps to Natural Eyesight Improvement, plus a CD, a 45-minute CD that will help you use the book and practice these steps. And he's also offering, which we haven't even talked about yet, for $100, a 5 CD audio set covering 5 topics, which we'll get into in a moment: the spine, joints, central nervous system, vision, and then a special CD on relaxing the eyes. That's for $100. And we're offering a combined package of both the Vision for Life book, the special CD with the book, and the 5 CD set for $150, Jerry.
Yes, I've been listening, and it's very important that we as a community support this programming. We're talking about self-healing, actually, and it's very important that you understand that there are things that you can do for yourself to help heal yourself, and you're not hearing this elsewhere on the radio or in other popular media. There are a lot of issues that we face. I had heard a report a little while back about Native American children whose vision was perfect, but when they were brought into the American system of education and were forced to read a lot of books at very close quarters, their vision started changing. So there are societal habits that we get used to that are actually damaging. And yes, what's going on with the cell phones, the smartphones, the tablets is probably going to prove to be a disaster in the future. I know a child that is less than 2 years old that knows how to search on his smartphone. And I worry because you end up losing your social skills. You're
Absolutely. Wish you could search for the stars at night.
Right. So everything right now is near field. People become myopic by nature. We don't look in the distance. As the doctor was saying, our peripheral vision begins to decay. So I'm all for this type of healing, this type of information. And we need your support so that we can keep bringing you this type of programming, this type of information. So please, if you get an opportunity, go to the phone, give us a call at 202-588-9739 and pledge your support for WPFW. This is your community radio station, and it is a vital public service that we need to continue after 41, going on 42 years of this. The ball is in your court now. It has been supported by the community. If you are new to the community, we ask you to become a part of this community and support WPFW. The number again, 202-588-9739. If you're listening from out of area, you can dial toll free at 800-222-9739. And of course, on the web, on our website at WPFWFM.org. Dr. Watkins has been doing this show as a volunteer for many, many, many years. And Joni and I are sitting in for the good doctor right now, and we ask you to make him proud. Let us feel that we're doing a good job of covering his show for him while he's out. So please support WPFW. Again, it's your community radio station, non-commercial. Our programmers are all volunteers. Joni has been volunteering here at the station. Joni, dare I ask, how many years?
27 years coming up in March.
27 years. So this is a labor of love.
And Dr. Watkins has as well.
Yes.
Very long time.
So please support us.
202-588-9739. I don't think we've gotten one pledge yet, folks. And this is an amazing gift. We're going to play a little special music as we are Jazz and Justice to help you dance or move to the phones. And this is a piece by Sonny Stitt, who just happens to be the father of Katia Stitt, who's our program director. And this song very much relates to the topic, The More I See You. So let's hear a little bit of Sonny Stitt, and then we'll be right back with Meir.
The more I want you, somehow this feeling just grows and grows.
Okay, welcome back to Dr. Watkins, To Your Health. That wasn't Sonny Stitt, but maybe we can get Sonny on at the end of the program. But The More I See You definitely relates to what we're talking about with Meir. And his work is extremely important. Even though we've talked about this over the years, Dr. Dick Gregory was a big fan of Meir, and he would always come to the workshops, as would Brother Bay. And one of the things we're going to talk about in a moment with Meir is how, our eyes are not separated from the rest of our body, and the hand bones connected to the neck bone, etc. And one of the things Meir suggests people do is to take off your shoes and walk backwards. And I'm going to ask Meir why he recommends that, but I can still picture Dick Gregory taking off those shoes, as well as some other folks that we know, Kalanji, some of you may remember, and walking backwards in the room or in the grass. So, Meir, what does taking off your shoes and walking backwards have to do with your vision? Hello? You there, Meir?
Hi, I'm here.
Did you hear my question?
No, I didn't.
Okay, sorry. I just had a long introduction, but the basic question is, what has taking off your shoes and walking backwards have to do with your vision?
A lot. I mean, if you loosen up your whole body. I mean, what happens is the legs are very connected to the rest of your body, including the neck. And quite a few people have very great neck tension, and especially because we bend forward. So a person who walks backwards makes a very big difference. Like this very Sunday, I worked with a lady who works for Apple Computers, and she has huge difference between her two eyes, and she improved a lot during the session. But one of the things that got her to, her neck is so stiff, and one of the things that got her neck to be looser is walking backwards. When you walk backwards, your whole body becomes looser. You use muscles you never used before, and then much more blood is starting to flow to your head and to your eyes. And when more blood starts to flow to your head and to the eyes, you prevent 99% of existing blindness these days, and your eyes start to get way better.
And so these are one of the many things that you talk about. Let's talk a little bit about your 5 CD set, which we haven't talked about yet. For a pledge of $100, you can get Meir's 5 CD set. And
audio CDs, yes? Audio CDs.
Yes. And let's talk about what you cover in these 5 CDs.
The first one is called Sensing Your Spine. And I like that word sensing because we have all kinds of exercises that people do very aggressively on their body. They go to the gym, they do strong cardio, they lift with incredible stress, and they feel that they become stronger for it. But what they don't do, they don't sense the body enough. There isn't what we call enough kinesthetic awareness. So in that on that CD, I get people to really sense their back, to sense how most of the back is something we don't feel. They're saying that the brain has more space for one hand than for the whole back because we don't mobilize the back as much and as well. So, for example, lying on the floor and dividing the back into 9 different sections, feeling parts in the lower back, parts in the middle back, parts in the upper back, and starting to mobilize the back independently makes a very, very big difference. And I didn't have one day of back pain in my life. And I'm approaching my 65th year. And I should be the rule, but I'm the exception because so many people have back pain. And I tell you, I deserve to have back pain because I fly so much to so many places. And still I don't have back pain because I'm conscious of how to use it. And also, we're talking about walking backwards. I walk forwards, and today I also ran backwards on the beach bare feet. It's a cold beach in San Francisco, but nothing is cold as DC these days. But basically, it was so wonderful to run and to feel the wind and to relax the back. So that's what we do with the back. The joint chapter, the joint CD, which is breath and mobility of the joints, is a CD that I made after working on several people who had terrible inflammation in many of the joints. And when they breathe, when they inhale, they visualize that the joint expands. And when they exhale, they visualize that the joint shrunk. And the expansion and the contraction of the joint in their mind took away the inflammation. So it's a wonderful way of focusing on every single joint in your body with your mind and with your breath and taking away the swelling that joint has. More people die from anti-arthritic medication than from all illegal drugs put together. And I think that what we need to do is to visualize that each joint expands and shrinks and do all kinds of nice, subtle movements with the joints. And that's the way out of arthritis and arthritic prevention. And then I have a CD.
Wait, let me just ask you, Meir. You said more people die from anti-arthritic medication. Are some of those opioids, or what kind of?
Yeah, definitely. Some of those are opioids, and many of them are cortisols and others that definitely lead to death for different reasons. Also, mixing of all kinds of drugs and remedies lead to a lot of problems. So I think what we really need to do is to do anything we can do to use medications the least we can, and our breath and our mind the most we can, basically. I mean, sometimes there is no choice, but use it when there is no choice. Don't use it when there is a choice. And sometimes with your breathing, and especially if you use my CD, breath and mobility of the joints, and you move slowly with my voice, and think about every single joint in your body. Some people went to sleep that way and slept a very good night's sleep doing that. That can make a huge, huge difference. And yes, too many people die. And it's a good way against having opioids. Let's put it this way. And then the third CD, it used to be tape, is strengthening your central nervous system. People think you can only exercise your muscular system and cardiovascular system. Not true. You can also exercise your brain. More and more people are talking about the flexibility of your brain. Mr. Deutsch wrote a wonderful book about that. But then there are
brain's way of healing.
Exactly, and then and then there are many, many other books which are written on that level. And the only people who don't know anything about brain flexibility, or at least they don't use it, are ophthalmologists and neurologists. And that's why we have so many people in the wheelchair, if you ask me. So the point is, we need to learn to create coordination between different parts of our body and to create great relaxation and better control of movements we never knew existed for us. And I think returning to back problems, one of the reasons that people have back problems is that they're not aware of most of the movements that they have. And they over-exercise the movements they already are overusing. And so if you start to use movements you never used before, integrate them with the one that you used, loosen up the body, and start to use your brain to start to activate the body altogether, you actually will have a body which is free of neurological disease and free of joint and spine disease. And then, of course, I have the CD, relaxation for the eyes. You're going to hear even poor English than I have right now, but my whole heart was in it at the age of 25, and I basically put my whole heart in the whole idea of expansion and contraction and visualization of total relaxation and the black color, which is very relaxing when you visualize no light, like a dark night. It really makes a huge difference. And Meir's vision, a bit more sophisticated from the 80s. So you have those 5 CDs, and I've heard from people say, Meir, when will you make some more? Because when you take a CD and spend with it every night for a month, your life changes. Your nervous system gets better. Your brain starts to work much better and much clearer. Your joints start to feel much better, and you don't need as many medications or none at all. And your spine gets so much better. I'm still using Sensing Your Spine for myself when I travel after a long 15 or 20-hour travel, 15 hours on plane and then towards the plane and away from the plane. I lie down, rest, and then I play my CD, and boy, it does a world of good to my own back.
So, folks, this is quite a treat. And when you sit back and think about it for a moment, mostly everybody these days has television sets, and many people would never dream of living without a television set. I would say that living without some of these thank you gifts that Meir has put together is even more important than a television. And so I would urge you may not think of yourself as somebody who has a vision problem. I've had a vision problem since I was born, so I'm very sensitive to the subject. But many of us sit in front all day long of computers. We don't move. We don't exercise. Many people barely walk. And we sit in rooms, again, with fluorescent lights. I know where I work, you have to go quite a ways to find a window. And we sit in front of these computers, no windows, no fresh air, fluorescent lights. So what Meir has put together for us is important for everybody, including children, including seniors. So I would urge you, for a gift of $150, you can get everything we're talking about today. The Vision for Life book, together with a CD to help you do the exercise for $75, the 5 CD audio set for $100, but a joint package for $150. And again, if Dick Gregory was here, and you may be able to hear him if you listen hard enough, Dick Gregory would be urging you to get this thank you gift. It's priceless. It really, truly is. And so we're thankful to have Meir on. This is not something that you hear about on the mainstream media. In fact, you barely hear people talking about vision problems, except if it's for an advertisement to have surgery. You don't hear this. So what Meir is offering us is a precious gift. And this week is Valentine's week. I would say give yourself or give your loved ones a special gift of love, and that is the gift of vision. Vision for life. And you can get this for a $75 pledge. Meir has made this very reasonable for people. You can pledge it if you don't have the money today. Make a pledge. You can go online and order it. But again, get it for yourself. Get it for a friend of yours. Get it for a child. The children need it very much. Get it for perhaps your own child's pediatrician needs to hear this. Your own doctor needs to hear this. And Meir's work is really priceless. I can share with you one of the people that we work with closely here on WPFW, Pam Rogers, who is a vocalist with a group called In Process. She recently had cataract surgery, which was supposed to be very simple, no problems. Well, it's 6 weeks later. She's still having a lot of trouble seeing. Meir talked to her on the air last week, and he told her, just relax your eyes. Take a cold cloth and put them over your eyes. And Meir, maybe you could repeat that advice. Guess what, folks? Pam's improvement has improved significantly in 1 week, just for those few seconds of advice that Meir gave, with her ophthalmologist didn't know that information to give to her. So we cannot thank Meir enough. This is priceless. Your vision, your sight is priceless. So again, we urge people, I'm not sure if we've had any pledges yet, but I know we have pledges to come, 202-588-9739 or 1-800-222-9739. Meir, again, talk about what you suggested to Pam, who was recovering from cataract surgery, and she was having real trouble seeing. She can't drive.
I have a lot of criticism with physical therapy, but I'm really happy that physical therapy exists and that massage world exists. And so if somebody broke their leg and the orthopedist would reset their bones, they would still send them for a few sessions of physical therapy to work on the muscles that degenerated and to strengthen the bone. But when it comes into the eyes, there is no physiotherapy for the eyes. So all the doctor does, he removes the lens, puts an implant. In the past, there were contacts. Before that, there were strong cataract glasses. But he puts an implant, sends her home, and whatever happens, happens. And that is the big mistake. If you would teach her relaxation of the eyes, if you would teach her to use the eyes more properly. Look what I've done with my daughter without a lens. And she expected to see 30%, and she sees 100%. What I've done with my son without the lens. So, and he sees more than 100% of normal vision. He sees the 20/15 line. So the point that I'm saying is that it's important for us to take care of ourselves after medicine stops taking care of us. And you know what? It's important for us to take care of ourselves so we don't need medicine to take care of problems they can't actually solve. Pay attention to the spine industry. There's no end to it. You have so many people specialized in helping the spine in so many different ways. I have a CD, and I'm challenging you. Take that CD, work with that CD, and you'll see that you're learning things about the spine you've never learned before. And those of you have my book, Awakening Your Power. We send many free books as we're going to send for free everything right now from our school to support WPFW, because we're a friend of Johnny, of Dr. Watkins, and of many of the people in WPFW. So basically, if you have the book Awakening Your Power of Self-Healing and you already looked at the spine chapter, and I'm sure you found many exercises there that you wouldn't find anywhere else, like dividing the spine, separating areas, starting to use muscles you never used before, and being wise about your work with the spine and not overdoing anything. Well, get my CD, Sensing Your Spine, and it will guide you to very similar exercises. And if you had any difficulties understanding what's in the book, this will actually help you do it better. And if you read the joint chapter, the breath and mobility of the joints will bring you much more light to the work that you already have been doing. So I really, really recommend that people would hear me and will see me and my staff and my friends, and will definitely see how people get better. For example, on the DVD Vision for Life, I had a kid who was operated for cataract when he was an infant. When he was an infant. And the surgeries went well. His vision was just under 40% of normal vision. And to make his life more convenient, and also because the contact lenses that my kids were fitting did not exist anymore, they did another surgery to put implant instead. Well, the second surgery did not work so well. His right eye became completely blind, and his left eye he has to use drops all the time. And he saw me, and his vision was still 38% in the eye that didn't become blind, but he was able to see light first time in 10 years at the age of 18. From the age of 8, when the surgery was done, he was able to see light in his right eye. But with the left eye, we went up to 75%. Well, in the DVD, Vision for Life, you see him doing an exercise where he throws the ball from side to side with a paper in the middle of his eye and expanding the periphery. But you also can see my son and some other people throwing the ball from side to side with the paper from the forehead to the chin and creating even activity between the two eyes. I mean, this is really priceless. You take a look.
Yes.
You take a look at those things, you can really make a big difference in your vision.
And Meir, I'm happy to say that we have some pledges coming in, and we came in. We have 2 new members. I want to ring the bell for the 2 new members. We want to thank George from Glendale, Maryland, who's getting Meir Schneider's Vision for Life book and the 5D CD set, the package he's getting. I want to also thank Jappy calling in from Silver Spring, who is also getting the package deal of the Vision for Life with the CD and the audio 5 CD set. Thank you so much, Jappy. Also a member of the Anonymous family in Fort Washington, Maryland, has also gotten the package. So also a new member. We thank you so much, Mr. and Miss Anonymous. And folks, we have $400 to go. We don't want to let Dr. Watkins down. We know that it would just take a few people pledging right now to get this package, this magnificent package for Valentine's Day, for Black Love Day, for Black History Day, for Happy February month. Make a pledge, 202-588-9739 or 1-800-222-9739. For $150, you can get all this, a 5 CD audio set covering many topics, the wonderful book, Vision for Life, together with the CD that you can use to practice these exercises. And Meir calls them exercises. Some of them have some degree of complexity, but some of them are very natural improvements for your health. Meir talks about taking walks outside in the nighttime. Of course, we have to be careful here in D.C. where you walk, but there are still places where you can walk and look up and see the stars. And so we encourage you to do that. Take your children out. Just take your children out in the sunshine, in the light, and have them look, as Meir encourages us to do, look in the distance, look at the faraway tree, and have them, as Meir says, look at the details, count how many leaves, ask your child to count, or ask your friend, how many leaves can you count on that tree? These are all natural vision improvements. We do not need the pharmaceutical companies to be destroying us. And we've talked about that on these airwaves before, the harm that the pharmaceutical companies can do. But there are very, very natural things. I even have to work with my 101-year-old mother. I snatched those sunglasses away from her because she doesn't need them. It's very healthy, as Meir says, unless you're driving right into the sun. Give your eyes a little break, a little treat, and help your pupils to exercise. And Meir, talk a little bit about.
So one thing I want to say, I love and respect Dr. Theodore Watkins. I think he's a wonderful man, and he's a wonderful doctor. And I think that he agrees, and I really think in respect of him, we should, all the audience who can do it, please agree with him that nature is important. And I really admire the way that you and your mom are working, 101-year-old, and it is just such a wonderful thing. You know, it's not that I'm saying don't use the smartphone. No, by no means. I mean, this is how technology is. There's nothing that's going to stop it. It's the force of life. But compensate for it. You know, the biggest enemy of your eyes is not having enough light. I'm seeing so many people indoors with fluorescent light and not with natural light. And so many people hurt themselves not taking care of nature. As soon as spring comes, all of you should go out for nice walk and not wear sunglasses. Learn the sunning exercise that makes your pupils smaller. You know, so many people are depressed in Scandinavia and in Seattle because they don't have enough sun. So many people are depressed in San Francisco because sometimes we have fog here and they don't have enough sun. And I think it is so important for all of you to respect and accept nature, because nature is a part of us. So there were problems, I'm sure, to ancient people, and there are problems to modern people. And the problems of ancient people is not having enough tools to protect themselves. The problem of modern people is having so many of them that they don't feel that they need to do anything about nature. But these days, we really need it. We really need it because we suffer for not having nature a part of our life. So I think it's very, very important for us to look at the distance, to pay attention to the sun, and also, in terms of night, go to sleep without light in the corridor. Learn your way to the bathroom and sleep without light in the corridor. Kids get nearsightedness from having that light and not having a full night's sleep in the dark.
Absolutely. And I'd like to repeat that Meir teaches these natural vision improvement classes all over the world, including in Brazil, where Meir has shared with us that sometimes there are 700 people that come out to take his training, and I'm sure they stand out in the sun together. We can't do that here. We can't necessarily bring 700 people here live into the studio, but you can bring Meir into your home. All you need to do is pick up the phone, even if it is a smartphone, that's okay. Call 202-588-9739 or 1-800-222-9739. We have $400 to go. And we have 4 minutes to do it, so that's just $100 a minute. A couple of you getting the 150 package will just about do it. Do it for Dr. Watkins. Dr. Watkins sends his patients to Meir all the time, even if they have phone calls from across the country. 202-588-9739. We also want to thank Anonymous from Silver Spring, Anonymous from Rockville, getting the package, and Priscilla calling in from Silver Spring, who is getting more than the package. So we thank you again. The package, $150 pledge,